shedding which happens during your menstruation. So why is it even important to understand these different phases?
The mind also has a huge mood phase. So let it be calm in this situation.
Hi everyone! Welcome to the second episode of Did I Ovary Act? And today
We'll be discussing the various menstrual cycle phases, which include phase 1, which is menstruation, second one being follicular, third is ovulation, and fourth is luteal. And we will also discuss how this affects your work and productivity.
So if you're unaware about these phases, make sure to dive into this video and share it with your friends and family. So let's dive into the first phase, which is menstruation.
So this phase is the one where the bleeding actually happens, and this is the phase that we all are aware of, and this lasts about 3 to 7 days.
And how does it make a woman feel? What does a woman go through in the menstruation phase?
So a woman would experience both physical and mental symptoms. So the physical ones include cramping, bloating, chest tenderness, etc. The mental or the emotional symptoms include feelings of irritation or mood swings, the one which is very common to everybody, which is also termed PMS. So these are the various symptoms that occur during menstruation, phase 1.
What is the full form of PMS?
It's premenstrual syndrome. Moving on to the next phase, which is phase 2, also called as the follicular phase.
This phase lasts about 13 to 14 days and it overlaps with the menstrual phase. This phase is all about preparing the body for ovulation and potential pregnancy.
So, how do you think it has hormones involved in this, and when do you think it usually starts?
It starts on the first day of your menstrual cycle, the first day of your period, and it affects your hormones in a way that your estrogen increases a little bit. So your body rebuilds the shedding which happens during your menstruation phase. So your body sheds blood, and so it rebuilds in the follicular phase.
So the follicular phase is a very good phase because a woman feels really, really good in this phase because they are energized, they have more stamina, more strength, more glowing skin, and increased libido. And all of this like just constitutes to positivity in a phase. So this is a phase that you should really, really focus on.
So the third phase, which is the ovulation phase, has a somewhat mixed feeling when it comes to different women. It varies. So you might feel good because you have glowing skin and increased libido, but some women might feel bad because might experience cramps because of the ovulation phase. So it differs like that. Let's talk about what goes inside the body during the ovulation phase.
So during the ovulation phase, a new matured egg has been released from the ovaries with the intent to be fertilized. It travels all the way from the fallopian tube to the uterus, waiting to be fertilized. And this phase usually lasts about 12 to 24 hours, and this defines the midpoint of your menstrual cycle.
And how does it differ from the follicular phase?
So again, like you mentioned, follicular phase was supposed to bring in a lot of positivity. This phase differs from for women since a lot of women feel good and sometimes they often feel bad. So
Right.
these differences occur and they are subjective in nature.
What stage is our estrogen in during this phase?
So in the ovulation phase, the estrogen is at its peak. It's at the highest level in the ovulation phase. So finally, coming to the last phase, which is the phase 4, also called as the luteal phase.
So the luteal phase is the last phase, as Anokhi said, and it also prepares your body for a potential pregnancy or your next cycle. It starts right after the ovulation phase.
So Arya, how do you think the hormones are taking effect in this particular phase?
So this time the progesterone and the estrogen drop, causing the shedding of the uterus, hence the menstruation phase.
So how do you think women feel in this particular phase?
So, in this particular phase, as we are approaching menstruation, women sometimes experience premenstrual syndrome, which is called the PMS also. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the times, premenstrual syndromes comes with different emotions, as we discussed in the previous podcast. And it also includes sugar cravings,
bloating, again, irritability, all those factors come into play. And some women also tend to feel calm in this situation because, again, it varies from person to person.
yeah, it could vary depending on your body and how it reacts to the hormones.
And also, mind also has a huge role to play in this particular
Right,
phase.
right. Why is it even important to understand these different phases that women go through? What is their best productivity phase and what is their worst productivity phase? It's crucially important for women to understand that.
Right. So, as we mentioned earlier, follicular phase is the best phase to work in because it has increased energy symptoms, increased strength and stamina. So, the women will tend to feel less overloaded with work in that particular phase when compared to all the other phases of the cycle, especially menstruation. So, all the women out there, no matter the occupation, need to acknowledge the fact that they are in a particular phase, that is to actually reduce the burnout levels that they might be facing in the worse categorized phases, for example menstruation or maybe the luteal phase. So we should acknowledge the fact that the follicular phase is very good to work in, and we are not asking the women to stop working, we are asking them to balance out their routines based on the cycles that we are in.
Exactly, yeah. Which reminds me, recently we posted about an incident on television where we noticed that a woman talking about a high profile actress saying how does it even matter if a woman is menstruating and is fighting against a man and there is a power imbalance. We really need to understand the fact that physiologically women are not as strong as men when it comes to the physical strength. I somehow see contrasting opinions, and these opinions are extremes, two poles apart. One is when the woman is not supposed to enter the temples or cook, and the other is expecting a woman to do everything irrespective of the periods or whatever. So I don't know why there are such contrasting and polar opposite opinions. Anyways, the temple taboo is irrelevant and does not need any further discussion because obviously, like, do you even need me to explain that it doesn't make any sense? It doesn't.
It's
And
just a stereotype which needs to break, and
right,
high
right.
time people realize that. So, to all the genders out there, not to be specific, we are just trying to mention all the menstrual awareness platforms out there, including ours. We are just primarily focusing on this void of empathy which needs to be filled as soon as possible so that the women out there feel even better about themselves, because women supporting women, it is enough that women are enough for women, but we are not just trying to limit it to that, we are trying so that the society makes a woman feel better about themselves.
And the lack of awareness about how menstrual health affects mental health and mental health affects menstrual health is so important for everyone, because if you don't understand the phases that your body is going through, you will not value yourself and you will sulk. And we mentioned in one of our talk spaces as well that during your PMS, if you journal a lot and if you understand your emotions and if you take a note of what you're feeling in that particular phase, it makes it better because you're accepting the emotions, you're accepting yourself, you're understanding the emotions, and you're able to respond in a way that's not harsh to your own self, right? So that's what we want to foster through this whole discussion and this podcast, that you need to understand your cycles. You've got this. Everything is completely fine. It's everything is normal. We're not trying to say women are weak. We're not trying to say women are weak during their menstrual phases. No, they're not. Every woman has her own way to deal with her cycle, but only understanding and empathizing is really important.
So we've come to the end of our heavily loaded podcast, but thank you so
Heartfelt, I'd
much.
say. We were filled with these emotions that we wanted to convey and was
Yes,
been
and it just
working on.
naturally kept coming out, like it just kept on, flowing out. And
Yeah.
yeah, that just formed our entire podcast for today. Like, more than information, it was our emotions that played a role. And I think that is a pretty good factor, considering that, we want to keep this real, and we want everybody to know how it actually feels when talking about things like this.
Yes, and it's not only our emotions, because it's a fact. People need to know about it.
Yes.
So share it with your friends, share it with your dad, share it with your brother, share it with everybody, and let them know what phases women go through, because this is also general knowledge. Everybody should know about it. And we're working really hard and we need your support. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and
also a huge shout out to Shruti, because she is working with our research and development sector, and just helping us out with all the scientific, factual knowledge that we're presenting to all of you out here.
we will also attach a PDF of all our research and resources if you want to review anything related to our research. So make sure to comment if you want us to touch on any particular subject in the future, or want us to expand on it. And yeah, thank you
That's
so
it.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.